the end of the day, it was the magic of Aaron Rodgers that put Green Bay up in that one.
Today's game is being broadcast in Spanish where available using the SAP button on your television. The San Diego Chargers will receive to start the ball game. Myers ready to tee it up, and here we go from Qualcomm Stadium. The Chargers will take a knee on what they're calling a white-hot afternoon here in San Diego. And let's welcome in our buddy Scott Kaplan is with us today. Scott?
Well, Tom and Adam, injuries are everything in the NFL, right? I mean, you look at what happened today in New England. Jimmy Garoppolo goes down with an injury. A virtual unknown steps in and makes plays. Well, the same thing is happening here in San Diego. For the Chargers, they've lost Keenan Allen, their top receiver. Their first-round draft pick hasn't played on the Jacksonville side. Prince Amukamara won't be able to play. And Chris Ivory with an undisclosed illness. So, guys, the question is, when frontline players go down, who steps up and makes plays?
Well, that's going to be the big deal for both of these teams here this afternoon. Rivers under center on first down from the 25. I formation. Watt is the fullback, and here's Gordon, who was so good last week in the first quarter or the first half. He gets a couple of yards. Phillip Rivers, his 13th year as the quarterback of the Chargers. And, Adam, he's had some great numbers against these Jaguars.
He has, but he will not fall into the trap and look at those numbers and think that that's going to bleed into today's game. He has watched tape. They have upgraded their personnel. And as he said it in our meetings yesterday, they look more and more like Seattle every time I watch them. It's going to be a great challenge for this offense.
Well, of course, Gus Bradley, the head coach of the Jaguars, the former defensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks. Out of the shotgun, Rivers finds Gates, and he's wrapped up immediately at the 32. Smith and Puzzluzny make the tackle. All right, so here's this Chargers offense. They hope this offensive line can stay together for the long haul. 25 different combinations last season. From a specialty standpoint, Travis Benjamin caught 7 passes last week. He could be a key this afternoon.
It will, but this passing game has always worked through Phillip Rivers. But what they're most excited about is the 155 rushing yards last week in the 1-2 combination between Melvin Gordon and Danny Woodhead.
There's Gordon, who's coming in motion into the backfield. It's 3rd down and 2. Out of the shotgun is Rivers. That doesn't happen often with Gordon in the game. He'll take the inside handoff, and he's got a first down up to the 40-yard line. Telvin Smith with the tackle. That's a good sign for San Diego. Let's take a look at the Jaguars defense. They upgraded up front with Malik Jackson over from the Denver Broncos. Their linebacking crew, they've been together for a few years. Puzzluzny is outstanding, but Telvin Smith is going to be used in coverage when it comes to Antonio Gates and even Danny Woodhead. And Tashawn Gibson brought over from the Browns to try to pick off some passes.
The story all week was that last week they had to harness their pass rush against Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers. Today, they said they're going to let it rip. Let's see if they can get to Phillip Rivers.
Benjamin in motion off the play fake. Rivers looking to his left for Benjamin. He's got it. Well, since 2010, the Chargers 5-0 against the Jaguars. They seem to have put together this odd rivalry that has been dominated by San Diego. 424 yards of total offense per game, over 300 yards passing for Rivers. Woodhead is in for the first time in the backfield. He'll take the handoff and runs right up the middle. And he is slowed by Malik Jackson, so a gain of 2. All right, so we've seen Melvin Gordon with Rivers out of the shotgun, and now we've seen Woodhead with Rivers under center.
It's kind of like two different offenses. Gordon works really well when he can square his shoulders to the line of scrimmage and get downhill so he can see the cut. Danny Woodhead is that gray area runner. He has that great feel for that zone blocking scheme, and it's really challenging on a defense. Different styles, different schemes really kind of keep you off balance.
This will be the 6th play of the drive inside Jacksonville territory on 2nd down. Gordon breaks one tackle behind the line of scrimmage, has some daylight on the near side and some blockers. Down to the 26-yard line. Tashawn Gibson makes the tackle, a 21-yard gain.
Melvin Gordon is a cut-back runner. He wants to take the ball and hit it to the backside, and you had a chance in the hole. I believe that was Telvin Smith to make that tackle. Boy, look at the right side of that offensive line and the vision and the hole that Gordon had to run with, and that's what you want to see. You want to see number 28 use that great acceleration as he gets into the secondary.
Well, Danny Woodhead checks back in, and he is standing behind Phillip Rivers on first down from the 26. Another run play for the Chargers. More daylight for San Diego toward the 5-yard line, and Woodhead is down to the 3. Dwayne Gratz makes the tackle for Jacksonville. It's a gain of 23. Boy, they are just picking apart the Jaguars defense.
2 major gash runs in the very first series of the game. And again, the offensive line clearing out that Jacksonville front. We talked to Ken Wisenhunt yesterday, and he recognized the hard work that it's going to take to block this defensive line, but he said we got to stick with it, and we expect to run the ball today.
All right, what do you like right here, Adam?
Well, it's all about matchups. You always got to watch. Danny Woodhead is not in the game. He's their big red zone threat, but anytime you isolate Antonio Gates in the red zone, you got to watch out.
By the way, Hunter Henry's in motion, the rookie tight end. The handoff goes to Gordon into the end zone. Touchdown, San Diego. Well, that's his mom right in the middle. She finally donned his jersey after last week's 2-touchdown performance. No scores last year for Gordon. 3 scores in the first 2 weeks this year.
Exactly what they did last week against Kansas City. In the tight red zone inside the 5-yard line, they rode number 28, and you see the power and the leg drive that he had to get in the end zone.
8 plays for the Chargers. Phillip Rivers told us this past week in our meetings, he's so animated. He said, I want to get the tempo up even more. The tempo certainly was up on that drive. The point after is good. The Chargers take an early 7-0 lead. The second-year pro, he's not a rookie anymore, and he's showing himself some experience.
My identity is secret. I was able to witness the atrocities firsthand. I've been undercover for 5 years. Anonymity is critical to my survival.
Want to get away? Now you...
Well, the weather's perfect here in San Diego, but so was that opening drive for the Chargers. 8 plays, 75 yards. Melvin Gordon now 3 touchdowns to start the 2016 season.
And they did it maybe in a way they didn't expect to. Jacksonville always known as having a terrific run defense, but that was too easy. Both running backs hitting big holes.
Well, the Jaguars will get it for the first time. Here's Corey Grant, 5 yards deep into his own end zone. He'll take it out, trying to get at least to the 25, and he's stopped at the 24. Get the CBS Sports app for inside access to your favorite team. From the front office to the front row, you'll get instant coverage of every moment from every angle. Download the CBS Sports app today. Well, there's Blake Bortles, the third-year pro, playing from behind, down 7-0. Last week, a touchdown, an interception against the Chargers. 583 yards of career offense. On first down from the 19, a little bit of movement, and that play is blown dead. Chargers are pointing to the left side of the...
Ball start, number 80, offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Julius Thomas was trying to get off on a good note. So that'll move the ball back to the 14-yard line. There's Gus Bradley in his 4th year as the head coach of Jacksonville. The handoff is given to Yeldon, and he is hit immediately behind the line of scrimmage. Let's take a look at the Jaguars' offensive line. They're important. They have to stay together. Jokel moves to the inside, to the left guard position. They just think he's active in space a little bit more in that position. Specialty players on offense. Julius Thomas has always been a special tight end.
At 300 yards passing last week. What they were disappointed about was the 48 yards rushing. They expected coming into this season to be a much better running football team.
Quick toss to Yeldon on the outside, and he is stopped immediately behind the line of scrimmage. Brandon Flowers comes up to make the tackle. All right, so let's take a look at this Chargers defense. They also had a little bit of an upgrade up the middle with Brandon Mebane coming in from the Seattle Seahawks. Linebacking crew, Manti Te'o last week, 14 tackles, 2 for loss. We've already seen him in the mix here this afternoon. And in the secondary, Verrett is as talented as you will find. 3rd down and 18. Bortles with 4 receivers, 5 counting his tight end on the left side of the offensive line. has some time, middle of the field. Mercedes Lewis is open, but he is way short of a first down. Jaleel Adai comes in to make the tackle at the 24-yard line.
Now, one of the things that Philip Rivers talked about in our meeting was the hangover effect. And he said, you know, last week when Keenan Allen went out, it kind of lingered with us, and it kind of lingered into Wednesday practice. You know, their attitude was down, but he said after Wednesday, everything started to pick up. And he said, you know what, I feel like we're going to come out with great energy and great confidence. I think so far, offense, defense, they got a lot of energy out there on the field so far.
Travis Benjamin back deep to receive for the Chargers. This is a nice high kick that will bounce inside the 35. It was hit at the 31-yard line and eventually stops at the 22. Well, they're celebrating with all kinds here in San Diego. Whatever fruit you want, settling in for a good ball game. Well, I'd like to think that banana escaped from the San Diego Zoo, housing 3,700 animals. You saw the panda. There's actually a panda cam that is on the zoo's website that you can look at. First down for the Chargers, up 7-0. Second possession of the first quarter from the 33. Off the play fake, Rivers looking to throw, and he hits Benjamin on the near sideline. Cyprian rips him down, but it's a gain of 9. All right, let's take a look at Arch's angles. What are you looking for today, Adam?
Well, marquee matchups, young star versus young star. They have to find a way to stop Allen Robinson down the field. Looking forward to this one. And up front, you have to have an answer for Meebane, Legit, and Melvin Ingram in the run game, and also pressure on Bortles. In third down, Danny Woodhead has the ability to slice up this defense. You can't allow him to be a factor in this game.
Well, he is in the ball game. He's got 2 carries so far for 25 yards, and he's a factor not only in the run game but also catching passes. Second down and short. Benjamin in motion. Woodhead takes the handoff, and he's trying to find a little daylight. I think he got the first down up to the 44-yard line. Tonight, what does a submarine with 200 nuclear warheads on it look like? Find out on a new story on 60 Minutes, plus an interview with the Libertarian candidates for president. That's tonight. First down from the 44. Melvin Gordon checks back in. Handoff goes to Gordon, and Gordon breaks a tackle before Puzlesny takes him down. Let's check in with Scott Kaplan with an injury update. Scott?
Yeah, guys, we talked injuries at the top of the broadcast. Jared Odrick, the defensive lineman, 7-year player out of Penn State for the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's been taken to the locker room. They're looking at his left elbow, and right now the Jaguars are saying his return is questionable. Tom?
All right, Scott. So Avery Jones is going to have a little more pressure on him here this afternoon, Adam.
That's a big spot in this defense. They call it their 4B position, and they rely on that guy to be a heavy presence in the run game. So look for Ken Wisenhunt to try and attack Jones.
Jones is on the right side of the defensive line. Nothing for Gordon in the backfield. Roy Miller comes in to smother Melvin Gordon.
Now, Roy Miller is kind of an underrated guy here for this Jacksonville defense. He's kind of the leader in there and one of the anchors of that defensive line. And it looked like right there, Orlando Franklin just whiffed on him. A nice swim move to get penetration.
Orlando Franklin, who was questionable before the start of this ball game with a neck injury. They're down and long for the Chargers. See the combination. This is the 13th play for San Diego in this first half. Rivers to throw. Pressure is there. Trying to get away and just throws it away. Well, Ngakoue, the rookie from Maryland, he kept on pursuing, and that's what they want to do to Philip Rivers.
I think it's going to be interesting because, you know, Danny Woodhead in the game on third down against the defense that loves to play a lot of man-to-man coverage. So you have to decide, who am I going to put on Woodhead? On that third down, Telvin Smith was the guy responsible, and then the rest of the secondary doing a nice job for covering their receivers, and Rivers wisely throws it away.
Back deep to receivers, Rashad Green. There is Drew Kaiser, the rookie punter from Texas A&M. He had a tough week last week. It included a 17-yard punt. Said he worked on his mechanics all week long. Green takes it inside the 10 and then stopped immediately at the 14. Craig Mager with the special teams tackle. Second series for Blake Bortles coming up. It'll be first down from the 14. Here's Yeldon off the handoff, and he is upended close to the 18. Week 14 last season, New England defeated Houston 27-6. So they have 2 more games left without Tom Brady, and it looks like they're down to their 3rd quarterback.
Man, that's really unbelievable, because Garoppolo, he was looking, pretty decent, but now it's going to be a tall order. Let's see what Bill Belichick and company can come up with for the Houston Texans.
Jaguars with a 2 tight end set, both tight ends on the left side of the offensive line. On 2nd down, then 6. Yelled it again. They said they had to establish the run, and he goes right into Denzel Perryman and Manti Te'o. You surprised we haven't seen Robinson and Hearns in the mix yet?
Well, they really haven't had a chance. They came out in their first drive of the game with a false start. That puts you in a bad situation, especially when you're right around your 10-yard line. And I think Greg Olsen right now is just trying to find something to settle this offense down a little bit. They want to get that running game going, but so far San Diego and their front 7 doing a tremendous job of constricting the running lanes.
Yeah, just 48 yards last week. 2 receivers stacked to the outside. On 3rd down and about 4. Bortles has some time, steps up in the pocket, middle of the field. It's tipped and it's intercepted. Casey Hayward on the ground, comes up with it, and he's down inside the 34 of Jacksonville. Pass was intended for Marquise Lee.
That linebacker pressure inside, blocked up, and again, this happened last week against the Green Bay Packers in their first 3rd down of the game. They went to Lee. The ball was behind him. It was tipped up. Green Bay gets the interception. And here's the exact same thing, San Diego in Jacksonville territory. So we got 2 games in a row. At the first part of the game, 2 passes behind Lee, 2 interceptions.
So it'll be 1st down from the 34-yard line. Last week against Kansas City, San Diego started in the opponent's end 1 time, 13 times last year. And now they start at the 34 off the turnover. So Phillip Rivers with a 7-0 lead. He'll have Melvin Gordon behind him in the backfield. 46 carries so far, 35 yards. And Gordon over the block of his right guard. Devon House takes him down. All right, Adam, talk to us about this.
Yeah, it was just a really good play by Casey Hayward, the corner. He is in press coverage against Lee, and they're trying to work the middle. There is a big window right there for Bortles to throw the football, but Hayward all over it. The ball is behind Lee, and that's just an easy play for Hayward. Heads up by the secondary coming down with that ball, but that was bad throw, good coverage. San Diego ball in enemy territory.
All right, Ken Wisenon told us that we'd probably see Woodhead and Gordon. We've seen him twice now. Gordon's in with Woodhead in the slot to the left. Here's Woodhead underneath, and he loses the football. They're going to say he was down. Telvin Smith was in on the contacts. And Danny Woodhead is down and very slow to get up. That was a hit by Telvin Smith. San Diego up 7-0. We'll take a break and be back right after this. Well, back here at Qualcomm Stadium, we talked during the outset about Keenan Allen's injury last week and what an impact that had on the Chargers in preparation for this week's game. Well, this is a whopper right here. Danny Woodhead is being helped off the field, and it looks like he has a knee injury. Telvin Smith in on the coverage on this underneath passing routes.
Just a shallow crosser versus zone coverage, and it didn't look like much. See, Telvin Smith comes in right there, makes an open field tackle.
Looks like his foot just got caught in the turf.
Yeah, and you know, it's hard to say, but regardless, you know, 2 of your most productive playmakers on your offense 2 weeks in a row exit the game is got to be tough for the San Diego Chargers.
Well, last week Phillip Rivers said, yes, it did take us a little bit of time to overcome mentally what happened to Keenan Allen. Let's see what happens here on 3rd down and 4 from the 28-yard line of Jacksonville. Rivers out of the shotgun, quick pass to Antonio Gates, who sidesteps one defender to get down close to the 20. Well, this is what happened last week. Keenan Allen was tearing up the Kansas City Chiefs and was looking dominant, and then He goes down here with a knee injury. It turns out to be a torn ACL. Last year he missed 8 games because of a kidney injury. And as he tweeted out earlier this week, he said, "I will be back and back stronger than ever." And the Chargers are hoping the same thing. After the 7th first down of the first half, Rivers under center. Gordon trying to get to the edge. Kozlowski from behind takes him down to the 17, but still a gain of 4 yards for Melvin Gordon. So Danny Woodhead is being helped down to the cart.
He does so much for this offense. I mean, truly, you hear about mismatched players, guys that, you know, he scares you to death as a defense when he comes in the game because there's not a linebacker or a safety that's going to cover him. He just has such a great feel for the game, and that was the one other player on this offense that Rivers had great chemistry with.
Yeah, Ken Wisenhunt said he just has a great capacity to learn and consume the game. As Melvin Gordon is stopped short of the line of scrimmage, Telvin Smith makes the tackle. Danny Woodhead getting a nice round of applause as he's being carted off to the locker room.
Tom, 3rd downs now for Phillip Rivers and the Chargers offense. This is the money down. Last week, Keenan Allen, before he was injured, was killing the Kansas City Chiefs. Their next best 3rd down weapon was Danny Woodhead. So now, as you saw on the last 3rd down, they went to Antonio Gates, but somebody's going to have to turn into that go-to, gotta-have-it receivers that Rivers can trust.
Yeah, whether it be Inman, whether it be Williams, whether it be Benjamin. Rivers steps up. He has Williams, and Williams outside the numbers is pulled down by Jalen Ramsey, but he has a first down close to the 6-yard line. A gain of 12 yards for Phillip Rivers and the Chargers. It'll be 1st and goal from inside the 7-yard line, right at about the 6. So a productive offensive quarter for Phillip Rivers. 7-0 San Diego will return to San Diego after these messages. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Along with Adam Archuleta and Scott Kaplan, I'm Tom McCarthy. Beautiful San Diego, California, where the Chargers lead at 7-0. They've lost Danny Woodhead to an apparent injury. He was carted off moments ago, but they're still moving the ball. It'll be 1st and goal from the inside the 7-yard line. Adam, they have 116 yards of total offense. Jacksonville has 16.
They kind of picked up where they, well, not where they left off against Kansas City, but how they played the first 3 quarters against Kansas City last week. So now, again, in the red zone, you know, who's that guy going to be? Last week and earlier today, in this part of the field, it was Melvin Gordon downhill. Now, you got to think that Tyrell Williams or Antonio Gates, 2 jump ball type receivers, might get some action down here.
Offset I formation. Hunter Henry is also in on the right side of the offensive line. Rivers looking to throw underneath. Has Benjamin, and Benjamin into the end zone. Touchdown, San Diego. A 6-yard toss.
Bunch formation to Rivers' right, and a guy like Benjamin can have a tendency to get lost a little bit. Dan Skuta, the backside linebacker, over pursued, couldn't see Benjamin, and he's just too fast. That's easy. Phillip Rivers, no matter who is in at wide receivers, knows how to find the open man.
Here's the point after, and it's a 14-point lead for the Chargers. They lose players, but other guys pick it up, and that's what's happening here this afternoon for the San Diego Chargers, up 14 over Jacksonville.
Welcome back to San Diego. The Chargers lead 14-0 with 14:54 to go here in the 2nd quarter. The Chargers are reporting that Danny Woodhead has a right knee injury, and his return is questionable.
All right, Scott, thank you. We'll try to keep you up to date on any other information coming out. San Diego on top 14-0. Jacksonville will take over at the 25-yard line. All right, Adam, walk us through this touchdown.
Yeah, tough matchup on House on Benjamin. They're going to motion in to create kind of a tight stack here, and he's going to run away from House, but he's expecting backside linebacker help, Dan Skuta. You can see Skuta over pursues, doesn't give House the help he needs, and it's what you do. You get your fast guys the ball in space. Easy touchdown for Rivers.
Philip Rivers has thrown touchdowns to so many guys during the course of his career. He told us the other day, he said, I've been very fortunate, whether it be LaDainian Tomlinson, whether it be Antonio Gates, Danny Woodhead, Keenan Allen, the list goes on and on. All right, let's see how Jacksonville responds on first down from the 25, down 14. Blake Bortles looking to throw, looks to the middle, passes completes. A leaping grab by Allen Hurns. That might loosen it up a little bit.
That's exactly what Greg Olsen was looking for. I mean, this is a critical drive right here. And the same pass that he missed on to Marquise Lee earlier, he puts it up a little bit, and the always reliable Allen Hurns comes down with the catch.
We'll talk about Hurns and how good his technique is at the line of scrimmage and how his route running was so good when he came into the league. On first down, here's Yeldon, and Yeldon has some space inside San Diego territory before Melvin Ingram takes him down. A gain to the 41-yard line of San Diego. There's Greg Olsen, the second-year coordinator for the Jaguars. Blake Bortles told us it was so much better to have a year under my belt with Greg Olsen's offense, because then when Robinson and Hurns and I worked on things in the offseason, we knew exactly what we needed to do. And in motion, that's Thomas, the tight ends. Off the play fake, Bortles looking to throw, middle of the field for Julius Thomas, and he overthrows him. There were 3 defenders there. In just 2 days, NCIS's Michael Weatherly returns to CBS in the new legal drama Bull. Premieres Tuesday after NCIS, only CBS.
You can see in this part of the field, right around that 40-yard line is when you expect Bortles to take one of those shots to Robinson or Thomas, and Chargers secondary playing deep. That time corners, double the shallow route, safeties back deep. Good job by Ingram running through on Julius Thomas.
Quick toss to the outside. Here's Marquise Lee, and Lee is able to get inside the 35-yard line. Dwight Lowry makes the tackle. Well, that's similar to that fourth quarter play last week where the Jaguars could not convert the first down. They had a little extra blocker out there to help Marquise Lee.
Well, the screens are big, and it's a big part of the offense. And a lot of times when they're having trouble throwing the ball downfield, they use the screens as kind of a momentum builder. And you saw the big screen to Lewis last week, the big tight end. Certainly get Hurns and Lee involved, but that's a major part of their offense.
How about Allen Hurns in the backfield for the Jaguars, and now a timeout is called by the Chargers. That kind of threw them a little bit, Adam. So Mike McCoy uses his first timeout. The NFL recognizes Hispanic Heritage Month by celebrating the history, culture, and tradition of Latinos. Visit NFL.com/Hispanic Heritage to view unique stories, features, and content. And today, our SAP announcer is Jerry Olea. So 3rd down and 4, Bortles with Hurns in the backfield forces San Diego to call a timeout. I don't think they were used to that formation.
They put him in there trying to get that matchup, and it's a good job by San Diego recognizing that, look, things weren't right, and you better make sure that you have everybody covered before you go out there on defense.
The very outgoing John Pagano, the defensive coordinator who you just saw. Yeldon is back in the backfield with 3 receivers to the near side for the Jags. Quick toss to Yeldon, trying to elude the tacklers, but great pursuit on the outside. Jatavis Brown was there initially to slow him up. It'll be 4th down.
Yeah, that's big time play by the rookie Jatavis Brown, and they really like him getting some reps. He is probably the best athlete they have at running back, and here you are one-on-one with TJ Yeldon, an outstanding athlete. You keep your feet, make the tackle. It's a good job by the rookie, who had a pretty good game last week against the Chiefs as well.
So this will be a 54-yard field goal attempt by Jason Myers. Good snap, good hole, kick is on its way, end over end, and it is no good. Wide to the right. He had made 16 straight. He misses there. The Chargers take over with a 14-point lead when we come back. Jason Myers just missed a long field goal. He certainly had plenty of length on it, and at the last moment you can see it push off to the right. There is a breeze going from left to right. Scott Kaplan, who's on our sidelines here today, was a kicker in college. What did you see there, Scott?
Well, you know, Myers before the game, Tom, was kicking him from 62 yards, but going the opposite direction. He had plenty of leg on that 54-yarder, but the wind would seem to be at his back. But if you look at the top of the field goal post, those flags seem to be moving to the right, to the south, and Myers had the distance, but the ball just faded.
All right, so 14-0 San Diego. They get good field position. They know a thing or two about a missed 54-yard field goal from last week against Kansas City. It was a roll of the dice by Mike McCoy. So here's Rivers out of the shotgun. He's had a good start. He's 7 of 8 for 55 yards. And he's looking for the outside for Benjamin, who's wide open inside the 15 of Jacksonville. Well, maybe the Chargers have found the guy that's going to step up this afternoon.
I think it's interesting. On the other side, Devon House was playing on Antonio Gates man-to-man, and I don't think that's the matchup that you want. Paul Posluszny, the middle linebacker, chasing Benjamin from behind. I mean, how good right now does Phillip Rivers look? I mean, he hasn't missed a beat. Now, so far, they've been a lot of underneath routes, but it's been finding the open guy. But right now, he is carving up this Jacksonville secondary.
Gain of 43. He's on the doorstep of 100 yards here in the first half. It is first down and 10 from the 13 of Jacksonville. Melvin Gordon tracked down from behind after getting a couple to the 11. Dante Fowler, who's finally getting a chance to play after a knee injury last year, makes the tackle after a 2-yard gain.
You know, I think the one thing that really stood out last week when you watched San Diego's offense against Kansas City was the balance. And it really looked like they kept the Chiefs on their heels. They were running it inside and outside. Their passing game was crisp and precise. And again, you know, no Allen, no Woodhead. And it looks like this offense has just continued to get better and better without their best players.
Antonio Gates in motion. He's covered on the outside, on the near side by Jalen Ramsey, the rookie. And Rivers is looking that way toward the end zone. Incomplete. He overthrows Antonio Gates.
That's the old tight end shake route. Anytime you see Antonio Gates by himself to the backside, you're going to get a corner route, or going to try and set up the DB and come right there inside. But I think the body position of Telvin Smith made Rivers put that ball up a little bit too high. Well played by the Jacksonville defense.
Only the second incompletion in this half for Ken Wisenhunt's quarterback. It's third down and 8 for the Chargers. Here's the throw again to the 6-yard line. Pass is complete to Inman, third-year pro from Virginia. But he's a couple yards shy of a first down. Well, this is what Rivers wanted. He wanted no-hurry offense. And there's movement, it looked like, from both sides of the ball. And let's see who this penalty's against. Carl Jeffers is the referee this afternoon.
Now, I'm not. Did you see somebody on go into the neutral zone?
I thought they jumped. I don't know if they went into the neutral zone, though. But they did jump. But then somebody on the left side of the offensive line certainly moved also. There you go, neutral zone infraction. And that'll be a first down for the Chargers.
You can see it right there. That's one thing, the hard count by Rivers. And I think what they're saying is that quick movement by Senderick Marks, the abrupt movement, is what drew the Chargers on the false start, and that's why they called Marks. It's a huge play. Big mistake up there.
First and goal from the 3. Out of the shotgun, Rivers, quick slant to the near side. Antonio Gates lowers his shoulder into the end zone. Touchdown, San Diego. The 105th touchdown reception of Antonio Gates' career makes it 20-0. Chargers on top.
Just pre-snap ability by Rivers. This is going to be a run or a pass. And they fake the handoff to Gordon. He sees that he has the matchup outside. Easy touchdown for Antonio Gates.
That is the 78th time that Rivers and Gates have hooked up during their careers. And now Josh Lambo for the point after. It is good. 21-0 San Diego. Well, the big play on this drive was the Travis Benjamin grab. That certainly set up field position and eventually led to Philip Rivers finding his buddy, Antonio Gates. Located about 10 miles from downtown San Diego, the Marine Corps Air Station Miramar is the home of the 3rd Marine Aircraft Wing. And you want to talk about high flying. Well, the Chargers offense has been high flying here this afternoon. Their 3rd scoring drive, 5 plays, 56 yards. The 78th time that Gates is hooked up with Philip Rivers. The Jaguars just trying to find some semblance of offense. Adam, let's take a look at Travis Benjamin's big play.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what's going on here. This is Benjamin. He's going to run across the field, but this is man-to-man coverage off the board, and Paul Pazlesny looks like he's the #1 primary coverage on Benjamin. And I mean, you know right away that that's not supposed to happen. There is no way you can ask an inside middle linebacker to cover Benjamin across the field, and I'm not quite sure where that defense came from.
Well, Ken Wisenhunt said about Philip Rivers jumping in and out of personnel groups. It's hard. He enables us to do things because of his high capacity of knowledge, and we certainly saw something there. A run play to TJ Yeldon, but there is a flag down. It's a gain of 9 on the field, but that penalty is going to go against Jacksonville.
Holding. Number 78 offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Jeremy Parnell called for the holding penalty. Well, the Jaguars need something to happen here, Adam, because they're down 3 scores in a blink of an eye.
Well, the good news is they have an explosive offense, but they just haven't been able to get it going. And I think 2 times now to start out a drive deep in their own territory, they get a penalty to put them in a very bad situation. You know, this is not many offenses are built to convert on 1st and 20 from your own 15-yard line.
Allen Robinson has not caught a pass yet. He hasn't been targeted yet, and there's his first target of the day, and it's off his fingertips. Tough grab. We talked about the matchup between Robinson and Verrett.
It's all about the line of scrimmage, and I think Robinson wins the matchup at the line of scrimmage, but you know, great position at the top of the route for Verrett, and that ball just a little bit too leading Robinson too much, and he has to leave his feet. He puts that a little closer to his body. He can run through it. They're going to come down with that catch.
Robinson had such a good week last week. 6 catches for 72 yards. 1,400 yards a season ago. On 2nd down, quick toss. It's complete to Rashad Green. And he's up to the 22. Defensive packages shifting for the Chargers. Third down and 13. Jacksonville needs to get to the 35. Here comes the pressure, and Bortles loses the ball. Melvin Ingram was the first one in. And San Diego recovers. Corey Liuget recovered the fumble. Brandon Flowers is down on the field for San Diego. Melvin Ingram last year, 10.5 sacks, making his presence known here in the 2nd quarter. Well, there's Brandon Flowers, who got up on his own power and walked off the field. That's a good sign. Another good sign is that the Chargers have forced 2 turnovers in this first half. It's part of the reason they lead at 21-0.
See Brandon Flowers coming on a corner blitz with TJ Yeldon blocking the backside. He goes down low. And that isolated Ingram on Jeremy Parnell for the sack.
High formation. Rivers looking to throw. Middle of the field for Gordon. Puzzluzny and Telvin Smith are there after a gain of 3.
He's got Flowers coming off the edge here and Yeldon coming inside. He goes low to chop him down. That's when an injury came in. And then Melvin Ingram isolated on the right tackle Jeremy Parnell with an up and under move to get the strip sack.
Melvin Ingram had such a big finish last year. He was outstanding for the Chargers. The handoff to Gordon again, trying to find a blocker. And he gets maybe a yard on that carry and then moves the pile down to the 11-yard line. It's going to be a gain of almost 3 yards. Well, Melvin Gordon's mom, who's wearing his number 28, last year she would not wear any jersey that had his number because she told him he had to earn her respect.
I like, you know what, bravo. I like that.
She decided to go with the powder blue on this white-hot Sunday afternoon. Chargers are 3-1 when they do the white-hot Sunday here at Qualcomm. They're down at 3. Play clock was down to 1. Gordon inside handoff. He's got the first down and a little bit more down to the 3. His mom may wind up getting all the jerseys now after this first half that he's had. 12 carries, 53 yards for Melvin Gordon.
You know, this is just a great job by Phillip Rivers because he baits the Jaguars to check into a pass coverage. And the safeties drop out. They're expecting pass. And then what does he do? Slips in a little draw to Melvin Gordon. That was a nice little chess match at the line of scrimmage by Rivers, again putting him in the perfect play.
Melvin Gordon has spent the offseason working out with Adrian Peterson. He wears Peterson's number 28 in honor of the great running back. Inside handoff again. Gordon dancing around, gets down toward the 1 and is eventually stopped inside the 1-yard line. Jonathan Cyprian came up to clean things up.
We've seen Gordon in the last 2 games just do such a good job at the end of his runs in finishing and keeping that leg drive going.
Well, he's been aided this year, at least they think psychologically, by the fact that Derek Watt, his former fullback in college, is now part of the Chargers roster, and he's in the ball game wearing number 34, JJ's younger brother, out of the University of Wisconsin, where they were teammates. Hunter Henry in motion behind the line of scrimmage. 2nd and goal for the Chargers. The handoff to Gordon, who is taken down, and a flag comes in. Puzzluzny, boy, Paul Puzzluzny is so good off the ball. And there's an injured Charger, Orlando
Offside,
Franklin.
Number defense, half the distance to the goal. Repeat 2nd down.
Orlando Franklin is the injured player down on the field.
He's right there at left guard. Number 74. Big pile of bodies in there.
So they'll take care of him. Chargers up 21-0. 5:46 to play, first half. Back here at San Diego, Orlando Franklin is up on his feet over to the sidelines. He had a neck injury that made him questionable for today's game, but he looks like he's okay. He's out now, obviously. Chris Hairston is in as an extra lineman. Spencer Pulley is in as well. Phillip Rivers looking to throw, rolling out, looking toward the end zone, and he's just going to throw it away. It'll be 3rd down and goal from outside the 2-yard line. Well, like last week, Adam, this has been total domination by the Chargers, like last week in the first half against the Chiefs.
It sure has. They've ran it.
Number 52 defense, half the distance to the goal, automatic.
Well, holding against the Jaguars, it'll be half the distance to the goal. It'll be an automatic 1st down.
Yeah, I was just about to say that's good discipline by Jacksonville's defense. And Jared Wilson saw Gordon coming out of the flat, and I thought that Pollard had great coverage on Gates, but
5 penalties, 17 yards in penalties. Couple that with 2 turnovers. Franklin is back in for the Chargers. Gordon's in the backfield on 1st and goal from inside the 1, and this play is blown dead and a false start.
number 84, offense. 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
Sean McGrath, that we saw in practice the other day, making a couple of diving plays toward the end of practice for the Chargers. It's their first penalty of the afternoon.
Got two tight ends right there, McGrath and Henry.
I think both of them moved.
McGrath maybe flinched first.
Give it to the older guy.
Maybe Drew Henry offsides.
First and goal from inside the 6.
Jacksonville having a ton of trouble today, and anytime the Chargers get in bunch formation,
which they are on the left side of the offensive line, and Rivers overthrows his intended receiver. Williams is tall, but that was a little too tall. It'll be second and goal from the 6.
Now, I'm a little surprised that they don't just try and slam it in with Gordon right here. They tried the play action game to the tight end. They got the holding call, which gave him a fresh set of downs. But something tells me that number 28 is going to get the football.
He already has one touchdown today, 13 carries for 55 yards. His responsibilities have increased because of the injury to Danny Woodhead earlier in this half.
You've got House on Gates up top, and so far in this game, Gates has won that matchup.
Rivers looking toward the end zone. Ball is swatted away. It's a loose ball picked up by Jacksonville. Ngakoue, the rookie, is the one who knocked it away, and Jonathan Cyprien recovered. Maybe a breath of life for the Jacksonville Jaguars. There is Legit. He's had a good first half so far. Joey Bosa standing next to him. He's inactive again today for this ball game, the number 1 pick for the Chargers. Jacksonville off the turnover, has it first and 10 from inside the 7. Inside its 7. And Blake Bortles and the Jaguars offense, they need something to happen here. From his goal line, he lofts it to the outside, incomplete, intended for T.J. Yeldon. All right, so this was a big play by the rookie. We have a penalty down on the field of the 23. Denzel Perryman was in the neighborhood of T.J. Yeldon.
Number 52 defense, automatic.
Yeah, pretty easy call right here. One-on-one with T.J. Yeldon, and he just never looked for the football. He's in good shape right there. He didn't really do much to impede Yeldon, but I think if you don't turn your head, you really don't get the benefit of the doubt.
So moves the ball to the 20-yard line. It's first down and 10. In motion is Thomas to the outside. Blitz coming from Ingrid on the near side. It's picked up, and Bortles dumps it off to T.J. Yeldon, and Yeldon breaks a tackle and stumbles up to the 27. Perryman with the tackle.
Boy, this is a pretty good job right here by T.J. Yeldon. He's going to come in here in pass protection and cut the blitzing linebacker. I think that's Teo. And then he gets up, and Bortles finds him for a big gain. That's a good effort, a good job by Bortles to find Yeldon.
And it's been all T.J. Yeldon today. No Denard Robinson. Don't forget Chris Ivory, who was supposed to be the starter, is still out with a medical issue, and they're hoping to get him back next week. First down up to the 32-yard line.
And a big point was, they thought coming into this game, as they did last week, that they wanted to run the football. That is a big part of the identity that they're trying to put in this offense this year. But as you watch this game, they just haven't had a chance to get in sync. They've been behind the chains. They're behind in points. And it just hasn't been a very efficient outing here for Jacksonville offensively.
On first down, Bortles to throw. He throws it to Yeldon out of the backfield along the outside, and T.J. Yeldon, who Gus Bradley said to us this week, he said, you cannot question this kid's toughness. He goes, I know that he was up and down last year, but man, is he a tough kid.
He is. He's a good running back. They just felt like, splitting the carries and having that 1-2 punch with Ivory and giving Yeldon a lot of third down opportunities where they really felt that he has excelled here in the offseason. And you see they're trying to get him involved a little bit in the passing game, but that's really the best way to use Yeldon as a guy that can spell Ivory and then come in on third down.
Bernard Robinson in for the first time. Bortles on the run, has Julius Thomas inside San Diego territory to the 39.
One place that you might be able to attack the Chargers is inside on the linebackers and the safeties. They get lost anytime you run a boot pattern, and that time Thomas gets behind the linebackers and Bortles gives them an accurate pass.
Gain of 22 yards. Bortles steps up in the pocket looking for the end zone, and it's intercepted inside the 5. Hayward again, his second of the day. And Hayward sidesteps the far side of the field out of bounds. It's the third turnover of the half for the Jaguars.
This great corner play by Hayward to look inside on a vertical seam. This is not his man. Bortles is trying to force the ball in here. He thinks he has the matchup on Flowers with his back turned, but he doesn't see that Hayward is just sitting on the outside looking inside and easily breaks on the football. That's just Hayward baiting Bortles into making a bad play and coming down with the interception.
You guys in the defensive backfield, you bait the quarterbacks from time to time?
Yeah, you like to think you can, you know. Only the savvy ones.
That's right. Well, 3 turnovers now for Jacksonville. It'll be first down. A 31-yard return. First down for the Chargers. And Rivers has plenty of time with 2 timeouts left. He's under pressure, and he is going down as he gets rid of the football. Dante Fowler was in on the pressure with Malik Jackson.
Little up and under move. Malik Jackson and Fowler both to the same side. And, you know, here you've seen a couple plays here with Ngakoue and Fowler who split reps on first and second down. And that's what they brought them in to do, to be pass rush specialists anytime they try and isolate them one-on-one.
Well, I think they're calling it in the grasp that Rivers was down, so they're going to mark it at the 25-yard line. So it's a loss of 6 on the play.
Hey, mark the 50. Mark the 50.
Whistle blows and a stoppage of play. 2:17 to play here in the first half.
The Chargers got lucky right there. That
Carl Jeffers is just getting the play clock reset. Second down and 16. I'll be honest with you, I didn't think that Rivers was down on that sack.
that was.
Well, that'll take us to the 2-minute warning. It's been all San Diego up 21-0. We'll be back after this. I'm glad those guys took your advice on what to wear to the game today on this white hot Sunday in San Diego.
That's kind of what you get from me.
On second down, Rivers dumps it off to Gordon. Boy, Gordon's had a good half, and Jalen Ramsey makes the tackle in the open field after a gain of 3. Interesting, one of the things that Ken Wisenhunt, Mike McCoy said about Melvin Gordon, said, you know, he's not a rookie anymore. That's the one reason why he's better. Don't think he's doing anything different. The personnel's different, and guys are doing things differently than they were last year, and he is trusting the system this season.
Tom, a little surprised Jacksonville not taking a timeout right here on 3rd and long with 3 timeouts left.
I think they're thinking, all right, let's just get into the locker room and regroup. It is 3rd down and long. The handoff goes to Gordon, tracked down from behind by Ngakoue, who's had an active first half. So now they use a timeout with 1:06 to play. All right, so then that does make it peculiar that they didn't take one beforehand.
Yeah, I think when you're on offense, you can always stop the clock, you know, by spiking it. So Hey, I don't know. Still have 2 timeouts for Bortles to try and get something going in this game.
Again, don't forget, coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report, join JB, Tony, Bart Boomer, and Coach Cowher for all the latest NFL scores and highlights, as well as a preview of Thursday Night Football on CBS and the NFL Network. That's all coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. Got some comebacks in the earlier games today. Some exciting finishes. Hazer on to punt the ball away after the timeout by Jacksonville. And he moves Rashad Green all the way back inside the 20-yard line. And Green is hit at the 16. There's going to be an illegal block in the back that's going to be called against Jacksonville. So that's going to move the football back even more. Josh Johnson, there he is right there. That's a 56-yard punt by Kaiser.
And a great play by the special teams captain, Darryl Stuckey, out there. I mean, that was outstanding to beat that block.
In the back, number 29 return team. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
I guess that's why he's a special teams captain.
I guess so. Well, this has just been a half to forget for Jacksonville on so many levels. So they have 2 timeouts left. I mean, if they get a score here, it might look a little differently coming into the third quarter.
Yeah, but they have a long way to go, and they have not enjoyed good field position in this game. You know, whether by penalty, you know, or by that punt, they haven't had a lot positive go their way when they started their drives in the first half.
Down 21-0. It'll be 1st and 10 from the 8-yard line. Bortles to throw. Pass is complete to Thomas, who's tripped up at the 11, or excuse me, the 16. Adai makes the tackle. No timeout. Little hurry up now for Jacksonville.
I think San Diego needed that punt last week, Tom.
Yes, they did. And Kaiser admitted that this week. Another pass complete to Thomas. And Thomas is up to the 41, so now Jacksonville will use the timeouts.
I think San Diego defense, I mean, they look a little light in the energy department here to start this drive. I mean, that was easy. Julius Thomas, it looked like the linebackers confused a little bit on that play, but Julius Thomas easily gets behind the linebackers. And I think as you go forward here in the second half, inside the hash marks has to be a bigger part of this game plan for Greg Olsen and the Jaguars. You're not getting anything outside. This secondary is locking you down. I think your matchups are better served on linebackers and safeties.
26 seconds to play here in the first half. Bortles to throw. A little hitch. He pumps once, runs into a little bit of traffic, and then dumps it off. He's got the speedster Marquise Lee along the sidelines, out of bounds inside the 40-yard line. Hayward is able to shuttle him out. That was a very athletic play by Bortles.
And a nice job. You know, he talked about yesterday, you know, the thing that he is trying to avoid is when the play's not there, not trying to force it, but there, you know, he finds Lee getting open, and then 2 big plays. Now you're in a position where you can do something. And the thing about this offense, you've got receivers that can go up and get the football in a jump ball situation.
All right, so first down from the 38-yard line. And now a timeout called by San Diego.
Timeout, San Diego.
Jaguars already have 1 missed field goal here this afternoon to this end of the stadium by Jason Myers, but he may be called upon again. This is the missed field goal earlier in this half. You might not think that's a big deal, but the way the Chargers have throttled Jacksonville so far in this half, any points might help the psyche of the Jaguars at this point.
And I think right now, when you look at it, 16 seconds, so maybe would have been nice to have that extra timeout.
Very true. So 21-0 San Diego. What do you think Greg Olsen's got in his back pocket here?
Well, I mean, essentially, if you throw it in bounds, then you have 1 more shot at the end zone because you only have 2 more complete passes in bounds because of only having 1 timeout.
Bortles from the shotgun. 3 receivers to the near side. Pressure's coming. He steps up and he's going down. Melvin Ingram with a sack. And that's something that Bortles talked to us about, that he can't let happen and work his team out of a field goal opportunity.
Situational football, and he said it himself in the meeting. Knowing when you're right on the edge of field goal range, You cannot take the sack. You know, he's waiting and trying to get his receivers open downfield, but you see that pocket absolutely collapse. You get a great edge rush from the outside rushers in Ingram, and there's nowhere for Bortles to step up because of the inside presence. Big mistake.
So with 9 seconds left from the 44 of San Diego, Jacksonville. No timeouts left for Jacksonville. And now another timeout called by the Chargers.
Charge timeout, San Diego. A 30 timeout.
All right, so Mike McCoy has it. He's going to use it to make sure that whatever personnel he needs on the field, he's got on the fields.
Well, you've got one play. Excuse me, you got one play here if you're Jacksonville with your big receivers to try and go up and get the football. You don't have time to spike it.
All right, so with 9 seconds left, you know he has the talented guys that he can go up with. Allen Robinson so far has not made a reception this afternoon. Play clock is down to 10. There's Robinson.
But Robinson is the inside receiver right there.
And Bortles dumps it off to TJ Yeldon, and Yeldon is knocked down by a die as soon as he touches the football. And that will wind the clock down. We are at halftime. It's been a dominating first half. Even with the injury to Danny Woodhead, the Chargers have jumped out to a 21-0 lead over the Jaguars. Let's check in with Scott Kaplan. Scott?
Coach, your instant analysis of your team's success in the first half, and given what happened last week, what will your message be here going into halftime?
It's a new week. We're going to go out and finish this week. That's the key. Go finish.
Coach, good luck to you. Thank you very much. Back to you guys.
All right, Scott, thank you. 21-0 San Diego on top. We'll be back with the Verizon halftime report after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Back here in San Diego, where the Chargers have jumped out to a 21-0 lead over the Jacksonville Jaguars. Let's take a look at our first half highlight presented by DirecTV. All right, Phillip Rivers was on the mark throughout the entire first half, but certainly here with Travis Benjamin, this touchdown pass helped San Diego jump out to this 3-touchdown lead. He was as impressive as we anticipated coming in, Phillip Rivers.
Yeah, I think that's one of the main differences. We talked about hangovers for both of these teams after disappointing losses, but right out of the gate, the Chargers came out, offense and defense, and Rivers, without his major weapons, has been exceptional this afternoon.
Yeah, Danny Woodhead went down with a knee injury earlier in this first half. He will probably not be back for the rest of the game. So you see Adam and I both wearing our St. Jude pins and ties. This is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, the month of September. And St. Jude in Memphis, Tennessee does such unbelievable work, not only for the families, but also for the patients. They don't pay anything. They don't pay for housing. They don't pay for any of the medicine. They don't pay for any of the food, anything at all. And we are so proud to be part of Childhood Cancer Awareness, to present the word and get it out there as often as possible. There is Josh Lambo, who's ready to tee it up for the San Diego Chargers. Jacksonville will receive to start the second half. Let's see if they can get something rolling to begin the final 30 minutes of this ball game. Good coverage out toward the 25. A moment ago, Scott Kaplan had a chance to talk with the head coach of the Jaguars, Gus Bradley.
Coach, penalties, turnovers, the story of the first half of your team. How do you get them back into this game?
Well, you know what? We played about as poorly as we can play in the first quarter. You know, fell behind. They scored right beginning of the second quarter. And then we started to make some plays there. We had some explosive plays on offense we didn't finish. Defensively, we got the ball. We're getting a little bit more pressure. We got to build off of that. We got to get back to who we are.
Coach, thank you and good luck to you in the second half.
I think one thing that we've known from Gus Bradley over the years is that he is as honest as you will find, and that is as poignant an interview I think we've heard from him in the time that we've known him, and he is absolutely right. On first down, here is TJ Yeldon, who has stood up after a gain of 1. Denzel Perryman with the tackle. All right, let's revisit Arch's angles. What did you see in the first half?
Allen Robinson, non-factor. This secondary has locked down this wide receiving crew. We've seen the pressure that Meebane and Leggett and Ingram have put on Bortles, who have led to some negative plays. And unfortunately, Danny Woodhead has not been a factor because he left the game for a knee injury. But the first two, San Diego has checked that out of the box.
Second down and 9. Julius Thomas in motion. San Diego showing blitz from the near side. Manti Te'o, the handoff to Yeldon, who steps inside and does get a couple before Kyle Emanuel takes him down. How important is it to get TJ Yeldon involved in this run game, involved in this third quarter?
It's going to be tough. I don't see the run game being a featured part of the offense, but when they do run, they have to be successful. They have to get positive yards, and they have to put themselves in a good third down situation because, again, the wide receivers here are having a really tough time getting separation.
Third down and 7. Again, the Chargers showing blitz.
See Ingram standing up in the A gap.
Bortles to throw. Dumps it off near side and has Julius Thomas. There's a flag, though, on the far side of the field as Thomas has a first down up across the 40.
Holding. Number 76 offense. 10-yard penalty. Replay third down.
Well, we talked about the penalties, how bad it's been for Jacksonville, and they really have been detrimental to this team.
You just can't do it. I mean, we've seen it at the beginning of the drive, and here you come. You're going to see number 76 right in front of Bortles as he gets bull rushed by Ingram, pull him on top of him. And then you convert on third down. You get something going here. And a penalty puts you in a third and ultra-long situation. That's just too much to overcome.
7 penalties, 34 yards for the Jags so far. Bortles under pressure again, dumps it off to Yeldon. Yeldon has a little bit of daylight, but it just gives the Jaguars breathing room. Brown comes up to make the tackle, and Jacksonville will be forced to punt to begin the second half.
Yeah, it has to take the energy completely out of you when, again, you come out after halftime, you've been dominated pretty much on both sides of the ball by the Chargers in the first half, and again, finally something positive to get your offense going, and then you just don't have a chance.
Brad Nortman on for his second punt of the day. His first one was 4. 12:27 to play here in the third quarter. Philip Rivers will go back to work when we come back. So much has gone well for the San Diego Chargers today, but in the first half, this was not something they wanted to see. Danny Woodhead went out with a knee injury and has not returned. Couple this with Keenan Allen's knee injury last week, and those are two huge weapons that Philip Rivers is now without, not only today, but possibly moving forward. But Rivers will take over first and 10 from the 45. Inman is in motion. Rivers looking to throw, has time, slings it near side, incomplete. And here comes a flag. Devon House is going to be called for a hold, as Dontrell Inman went up to try to flag that ball down.
Pass interference. Number 31 defense. Automatic first down.
The House has kind of had a tough day at the office. Right there, Inman, who is not known to be super fast out of his breaks, and couldn't quite see where the grab was right there. Did you see it, Tom?
Thought he might have the back of his jersey as he was going up. I don't know if that ball was going to be caught. Here's the handoff to Gordon, and Gordon's hit behind the line of scrimmage. Telvin Smith was in there. Well, here are the two injuries we talked about. Keenan Allen out for the season. He sustained that injury last week against the Chiefs. Danny Woodhead today. And Philip Rivers said, I think we have to just let it rip and go. Just have to trust it and go. That's the only way you're going to deal with it and start making those plays. He said last week the big thing is that guys were put into different positions. So now that they've had a week to prepare, he thinks they would be better suited coming into today's ball game. And that certainly has been the case. On second down, here's Benjamin. And Benjamin can fly, but there's nothing there as Jalen Ramsey comes over to shuttle him out of bounds.
You know, I think, going back to, losing your weapons in Rivers, I think it's pretty remarkable because just we saw what he did last year with all the adversity and the offensive line and Allen getting hurt, midway through the season. And he just still throws for 4,000 yards. I mean, nothing seems to faze him. And even today in this game, I mean, nothing that the Jaguars have thrown his way has he not been able to deal with. He has had an answer for every single defense that he has seen here today from Jacksonville.
Well, he's been sacked twice. He was not sacked last week, but he's been able to brush that aside. And now a timeout called by San Diego. They had some occasions last week where they had issues where they had to call timeouts well before they wanted to. And with 11:06 to play here in the third quarter, they lead it by 21. In comparison to the two quarterbacks today, one guy with 13 years experience, the other guy with 3 years experience. And Rivers 12 of 15 for 114 yards this afternoon.
And numbers wise it's there, but I think the big one that stands out is the 2 interceptions, and it's been not only that, but some ball placement issues that haven't quite been there for Bortles. So to me, that the major difference in this game is that Rivers has been flawless, whereas Bortles has struggled on his misfires.
Play clock is down to 5. On third down, he steps up and dumps it off over the middle to Williams, and Williams has got some daylight inside the 15, crosses to the 10, and now bounces toward the goal line. Touchdown, San Diego! What a run after the catch by Tyrell Williams.
I mean, he's known for a 30, 40-yarder a game, isn't he? A shallow cross. And Jacksonville in zone coverage, and the backside defense nowhere to contain it. That is an ugly play by Jacksonville's defense.
44-yard touchdown reception. They said that they wanted him this week to be more aggressive. He was certainly more aggressive with his body as he got down toward the goal line. Lambeau's point after is good. It's 28-0 San Diego. They get Williams involved in a big way to begin the second half. Understatement to say that there's a lot of scenery out here in San Diego. That's Sunset Cliffs, and it is absolutely gorgeous. 3 plays, 55 yards for the Chargers. Tyrell Williams, a 44-yard touchdown reception. It's 28-0. San Diego is on top. Let's see if Jacksonville once again can establish something offensively. Get the ball out to the 25. All right, let's take a look at the touchdown.
Yeah, I think Ken Wisenhunt has done such a good job in this game with severe mismatches. They're going to run Williams on a shallow cross, and they're going to run out Dwayne Grotz with a vertical seam. And watch as this thing develops. And look at all of this field right here. Paul Posluszny is the only player, a middle linebacker again, in a severe mismatch, and a 4.40 wide receiver can't possibly catch up with him. That's just great game plan, great execution, and bad defense by Jacksonville.
Well, Jacksonville down by 4 scores. The dump off goes to Julius Thomas underneath. And he's been their best receiver today, up to the 42-yard line, and he is slow to get up. Manti Te'o with a licking. With NFL Game Pass, replay every game this season, including NFL playoffs and Super Bowl. Start a free trial today at NFL.com/Game Pass. Well, Julius Thomas is up, and he is running off the field, but he did take a pretty good hit.
Yeah, the good news is nothing was planted when he got hit.
You and I were talking about Manti Te'o watching last week's game. 14 tackles, 2 for loss. He played very well for the Chargers last week.
Got great instincts in the running game.
After the first down pass play, the ball up to the 42 for Jacksonville. Bortles peeks to his right, and his pass to Mercedes Lewis is incomplete. Lewis was covered from behind by Denzel Perryman.
Well, you're sitting here right now down 28 points. Partway through the third quarter, there's not a lot of possessions left, and so you'd like to think that Jacksonville needs more plays. You'd like to think that they try and speed this thing up because, you know, they have to do something to try and get back in this game. To try and come down 4 scores against a football team right now that's humming like the San Diego Chargers, I think they're already running out of time.
Oh, they are humming. There's no doubt about that. Thomas is back in. He's in motion, and flags come flying. And a little bit of frustration by Blake Bortles.
False start, number 76. Offense, 5-yard penalty, second down.
Boy, Luke Joeckel, first-round pick, has not had an easy day today at the left guard position. You see Bortles' reaction after the false start. Again, Joeckel's making the move from tackle to guard. They just felt like it would be better to have him have some help on the inside and the outside by making him a guard. Bortles looking for the screen for T.J. Yeldon, and it's incomplete. Third down. He had pressure coming. Karan Reed was coming in.
Pressure today for San Diego Chargers defensively has just been outstanding. Now, this is a screen play, so you know you're going to get pressure up inside, but you know they didn't even give that thing a chance to develop. And I think for a team that really kind of struggled last year with pressure on defense, you have to like the early returns on the way they put this defense together so far this year.
Well, you see their last touchdown came in the second quarter with 1:09 to play against Green Bay. They're trying to end that drought. 0 for 5 on third downs. That has been a storyline. It's their 4th third down in double digits. And that pass is incomplete. Intended on the near side for Allen Robinson. Well, Robinson and Verrett have great respect for each other. And Verrett is winning that battle here this afternoon.
Well, not only Verrett, but look at this. Look at the entire secondary. Casey Hayward has had a game today. And we haven't even heard Alan Hearns' name. We haven't really. Marquise Lee has done a couple things here and there, but, you know, this is a talented young wide receiving core, and I think they haven't had an inch against these cornerbacks.
Third punt of the day for Nortman. Benjamin back deep to receive. And Benjamin fields it at the 8. And man, does he have a burst. He gets it to the outside before he's out of bounds inside the 20-yard line. Well, there's been frustration all along the Jacksonville sideline today. Obviously, Blake Bortles in his maturation process, he's had trouble getting things rolling this afternoon. Saturday, the Home Depot SEC on CBS brings you the best game for the best conference. It's when Florida Gators go Rocky Top with the Tennessee Vols. The hoopla begins with college football today. Tough injury for Florida with a sprained MCL for Luke Del Rio, their starting quarterback. They don't expect him to be back for the next couple weeks. For Blake Bortles, he's on the horn looking for a little bit of help. Now, why is it important to get off to a 1-1 start instead of 0-2? Well, since 1990, you have a 12% chance to make the postseason when you get off to an 0-2 start. It's not unheard of, but the road gets tougher.
It sure does. And, you know, especially when you look at the way they started, they really felt like, you know, they had a good chance to beat Green Bay. And I know, and he said it himself, the way they came out here to play has to be a big disappointment to the staff.
On first down, the handoff is given to Melvin Gordon, and Gordon's got a first down and more, hurdling a defender out of bounds. Well, I think we're seeing why he ran for 4,900 yards during his collegiate days. That's a 19-yard gain.
I think it's nice when you have a big number 68, Matt Slauson, out there leading the way. Another mismatch, a 320-pound center matched up on a strong safety. And I think if you can clearly define it for Melvin Gordon and he can see the hole, that's when he can maximize that great talent that he has.
And the other thing, too, he's done a lot of his running today without the fullback. And I know people have talked about that. Benjamin, not much doing as he gets to the 40.
Yeah, you know, I think that's a little overrated, Tom. You know, I think the fullback certainly helps, but I think it's more the scheme and the style of offense that they play and that man blocking that kind of suits his game.
Well, here are the possessions today for the Chargers. They did have the one turnover, the fumble, but they've only punted twice this afternoon. They've controlled everything about it. So Gordon takes a break. And that means that Kenneth Farrow, the rookie out of Houston, a very physical runner, who had a pretty good preseason. In fact, had 60 yards against the Titans during the preseason for the Chargers in one game. And Rivers tries to get it to him, but he one-hops him. That could be the worst throw of the day for Phillip Rivers.
I think he'll take that. I think tomorrow when they turn on the film and Ken Wisenhunt says, hey, you know, a little swing route in the third quarter, it's got to be a little bit better.
I have to say, Ken Wisenhunt was very relaxed when we talked to him on Friday. I asked him if anything's changed since he was here in 2013, and he said, no, not really. He said everything's pretty much the exact same way.
By everything, meaning number 17.
Well, that's true. Play clock is down under 5 on third down. He's under pressure, and he is going to go down. A whole host of defenders, Posluszny, Skuda, they were all there in the back pocket of Phillip Rivers. Dante Fowler was there. So fourth down, and the Chargers will be forced to punt. It's been nice to see Fowler have a little action today out of the corner for Jacksonville. Shot Green back deep to receive. And Green calls for the fair catch. Jacksonville being shut out, looking for some daylight when we come back. Well, there are your 2016 San Diego Chargers. That was pretty entertaining watching them piece together that team photo.
If only it happened that fast. Picture day is the worst.
On first down, Bortles looking to throw. It's surprising, you're so photogenic. And the pass is complete to Hearns, who's out of bounds at the 48-yard line. Well, we talked about Greg Olson discussing with us in our meetings yesterday. He said we need 8 explosive plays or more, and that's when we know we're successful.
Well, last week they had 6, and that's the most in the National Football League. They thought that they left 2 big touchdowns on the table, and this is kind of a feast or famine offense. If they can get their big plays, they're tough to stop, but as you've seen today, when they get shut down outside, they have a hard time moving the offense.
There's Bortles rolling the pocket to the right. His pass is incomplete. He tried to get Hearns again, broken up by a dive. Actually, no, that's for Red, excuse me. Bortles got hit on the previous explosive play to Hearns.
How about Verrett? I mean, it just doesn't get any better than that, whether it's Robinson, whether it's Hearns, whether it's an out route, whether it's a fade.
Bortles 60 to 24, 177 yards. Verrett has been on Robinson a lot of the day. There he was on Hearns. When we talk about explosive plays, 20 yards or more in a lot of ways in the National Football League, as that ball is swatted at the line of scrimmage. I think Williams got a hand on it from his outside linebacker position.
Well, he just came in and straight bull rushed Beachum right here. Look at Beachum on his heels, almost puts Bortles on his lap on an inside move, and again, not a sack, but I think when you turn on the film tomorrow of the defensive front of the San Diego Chargers, they're going to say they affected the quarterback.
Just by those numbers, they definitely affected him. He's had third downs of 3rd and 10, 3rd of 13, 3rd and 15, 3rd and 17. This one is 3rd and 10, and it's incomplete. Broken up by 3 defenders intended for Hearns. It'll be 4th down, and San Diego will get the football back.
A tiny window for Bortles to try and put this ball in, and that would have been an exceptional catch. That's the only place where Bortles could have put that ball. Because the secondary, safeties, corners, all saw it, did a great job of reading Bortles' eyes, and again, just putting together. I mean, you might want to consider this game a masterpiece by this secondary.
That one was Dexter McCoyle, who was the extra hand in there for San Diego. We haven't called his name today. Benjamin back deep to receive this punt by Nortman. He'll let it go over his head, and it takes a bounce back inside the 10. Well, everybody around the National Football League is learning who Jason Verrett is. He is as good as you will find at the corner position. Well, the offense has been clicking on every cylinder possible this afternoon. It began with Melvin Gordon's touchdown, and they haven't looked back at him.
They sure haven't. And I thought they put together a great game plan to put the ball in their athlete's hand in great mismatch situation. Here you see Tyrell Williams. The shallow cross today, Tom, has absolutely sliced up the Jacksonville secondary. They've had zero answer, whether it's Benjamin, whether it's Williams. Shallow cross has been a killer. And Phillip Rivers has found it.
Well, Ken Wisenhunt back with San Diego after being let go by the Tennessee Titans last year. He has to be happy not only with the formation of his game plan, but how it has been executed here this afternoon. Hand off to Gordon. Gordon right up the middle. Still on his feet, battling up to the 15-yard line. Devon House makes the tackle. This is how he looked in the first half last week, Adam, against the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, when he can square his shoulders up and he can see it clearly defined and cut back, that's when he's at his best. And that's what they try to do with him this season in designing an offensive scheme that suits his talents. But I'm going to back up to Ken Wisenhunt, Tom. Doesn't it seem like he's always had the perfect play today? Like he's always been one step ahead of Jacksonville's defense.
There's no question about that. Now, maybe part of that is understanding by playing Jacksonville when he was with Tennessee, but so much more is utilizing his personnel here this afternoon. Another first down for Melvin Gordon. Ken Wisenhunt, Mike McCoy, very close friends, and as you mentioned, and he acknowledges this, a lot of what he's been able to accomplish as the offensive coordinator, it's clearly on the shoulders of big number 17.
Yeah, but that's true. But you've got to like the way they've ran the ball so far this year. I mean, 155 yards last week against Kansas City, and this was, what, the worst rushing offense in the National Football League as far as average goes, and the way they've had balance, and they've been able to keep defenses off balance. You know you're going to get passing game from Rivers, but I think he's put together an offense that really makes it tough to defend.
I think the Chargers.
Second charge timeout, San Diego. A 30-second timeout.
They have to use their second timeout. Mike McCoy was very succinct when he was talking to Scott Kaplan about finishing the job, and that's what they're trying to do here this afternoon. After the timeout, 1st and 10. San Diego 28-0. By the way, that Thursday night game features New England and Houston. Houston won this afternoon as well over Kansas City. That'll make the AFC West feel pretty good, particularly the Chargers. Patriots held off the Dolphins today.
You know, I thought Houston would be a pretty tough team, but they looked better, I think, early than they thought. I thought it would take them a little time to get Osweiler in and kind of get everything going, but, you know, they look like they might have a pretty good squad, Tom.
Bill O'Brien has talked about Osweiler, how he understands the offense and how he's come in on fire to establish himself. Melvin Gordon checks out. 19 carries, 90 yards this afternoon. Farrow is in as an extra receiver, and the pass is incomplete, intended for Williams. As Lusney again in on the coverage, it'll be 3rd down.
So that's probably a good place for Rivers to put the football, because if he would have let him in there, Paul Lusney, it looks like a bad throw, but that was probably the best scenario considering the location of number 51.
Buzz with over 1,200 tackles during his career. It'll be 3rd down and 5.
I just run a shallow crossing.
It's worked all day. That's Henry who's in motion, the rookie tight end out of Arkansas. Phillip Rivers steps up. He's going to run it, and he's going to run it for a 1st down. He dives up to the 33-yard line. It's a 10-yard gain for Phillip Rivers.
This is really about right here, the left side of the offensive line. Franklin and Dunlap just handling one-on-one blocks. Rivers steps up. Everybody else is in coverage. If you're going to give it to him, they'll take it.
Who says the big man can't run anymore? Well, he'll probably tell you that. Clock winds down toward 4 minutes to play here in the 3rd quarter. Farrow stays in the ball game. He's in the backfield for San Diego. And the injury to Woodhead, he's getting some extra time. Flags come in, and Farrow knifes his way across the 35 to the 36-yard line. Here's Odrick, who's back in the ball
Offside,
game.
number 75 defense. 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
Barrett Odrick is not happy by the body language of that call. And another flag comes in. Now that is going to be a point of emphasis this year. They do not want anything excessive like that would cause any additional issues around the playing field. The officials aren't going to have the same kind of patience.
Unsportsmanlike conduct, number 75. 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down. That's the first foul of this nature for that player. Another foul of that kind will result in ejection.
Well, he better be careful right now because they're obviously taking a look at him. If he has one more penalty of that kind, you heard Carl Cheffers say it, then he will be ejected from the ball game. But look at where this football is going. I mean, this is a penalty because he was offside, and then the unsportsmanlike conduct penalty.
Yeah, across the board. You know, this football team, Jacksonville, really thought they had something. And again, disappointed last week, but really felt like they were going to come out here and play well, that they're ready to take that next step. But across the board, it's been a terrible day.
Yeah, it's been a game to forget as Gordon back in, gains 2. Well, here's the reaction from Odrick. He is as emotional as you will find. Well, his afternoon may be done, at least until he cools down. His teammates coming over to help him out. Seventh-year pro out of Penn State. And it'll be 2nd down and 8 for San Diego.
Travis Benjamin gave Rivers a hand signal. Let's see if he goes to him.
It looks like he is going to try to go for him. Benjamin has some space, and he caught the ball! Touchdown, San Diego! 45 yards. He got a spot over Devon House. They're certainly finishing this afternoon's ball game. The 2 penalties on Odrick put Phillip Rivers and the Chargers in beautiful position.
Well, I saw the hand signal, Tom. Benjamin saw press coverage on House. Smokes him off the line. And what else do you expect? Beautiful pass out of the sky for Rivers.
Benjamin with his 2nd touchdown reception of the day. 7 plays. A 45-yard pass from Phillip Rivers. 4 touchdowns this afternoon for Phillip Rivers. Lambeau's point after is good. Odrick called for the penalty, and then the unsportsmanlike conduct penalty gave San Diego terrific field position, and Phillip Rivers capitalized.
One of the things they're trying to do is figure out how best to use the speed and athletic ability of Travis Benjamin. And I don't know if we're going to get a chance to see on this replay, but while Rivers was checking, he gave him a hand signal because he saw that House was in press coverage. Now, House tried to bail, but you just see Benjamin blow right by him. And then the adjustment at the end of the catch to come down contested. Just a heads-up play from Rivers to Travis Benjamin on the explosive play.
Now, Phillip Rivers certainly feeling good about his effort here this afternoon. It was so important for the Chargers to finish this game off. Now, there's still a quarter plus left. His 19th career passing touchdown against the Jaguars, and this is 7th game. But they made it a point of emphasis in telling us that they wanted to finish off this ball game, but also that they looked at last week as being a learning game. That maybe it was a good thing it happened early because now they won't assume everything or anything at all. Corey Grant is back deep to receive. He'll take a knee. And with 2:48 to play here in the 3rd quarter, Mike McCoy and Phillip Rivers, they have a different feel to them right now in the 3rd quarter.
Took a lot of heat from people thinking that they took the foot off the gas last week
No
and they
question.
lost their aggressive nature. That might be a pretty good answer.
Big time. First down from the 25. Bortles, quick toss to the outside. It's complete to Hearns, and Hearns will sprawl forward for 8 against Verrett.
Right there.
So it'll be second down. Bortles changing the play at the line of scrimmage on second down and 1. Plenty of time left on the play clock. Here comes Ingram. He gets away from him. Middle of the field to Thomas. Incomplete. It'll be third down and 1. Dwight Lowry in on the coverage. I guess this could be basic for me to ask you this at this point, but if you are Jacksonville, you're down 35-0, and if you're Gus Bradley, what are you hoping to get out of your offense for the last 17 minutes of this game?
I think you have to go play and you have to finish. And you owe it to this football team, regardless of what the score is. And you want to leave this game with some sort of level of execution. Last thing you want to do is lay down.
Trying to convert a third down and 1, and they do. And Bortles slides forward, and he's up to the 38-yard line. Because we can say this all we want, but this is a shocking score right now if you're Jacksonville. And not that you're not saying that San Diego is a very good team, but this is a shocking score for this young team.
It's a National Football League. I mean, maybe 4 years ago, maybe you'd say, okay, you know, Jacksonville, you know, you have some turnover, you're rebuilding. But the expectations, I think, that were placed on this team and really how they played last week, there's absolutely no way that you would have seen this coming in this game.
Under pressure is Bortles again. He's being chased down, and he gets away and gets inside San Diego territory before he slides down inside the 40. Well, he certainly showed some ability to get away from the defender. Corey Liuget almost had him.
Yeah, he puts a great move on Luke Joeckel inside. Crosses his face, and then you see him redirect, try and chase down Bortles. But this defense has affected the quarterback. Melvin Ingram has been almost unstoppable outside. And the inside with Liuget and Mebane has really given that trio all they can handle in the interior of that offensive line as well.
Bortles so far today, 17 of 28 with the 2 interceptions. Lost it to the near sideline for Lee, who is bumped to the ground. Looks like they'll say incidental contact with Casey Hayward. One of the big storylines we said coming in today was going to be Verrett on Allen Robinson. Now, not every day will Robinson catch 10 passes a day, but he has been absolutely quiet. So you've got to say that Verrett and the secondary has done their job against him.
They have locked down. They've been in man-to-man coverage and have given nothing to this wide receiver core.
Bortles middle of the field, and he gets his man underneath, and that is Robinson.
And we talked about, you know, Jason Verrett has been great on Robinson, but Casey Hayward, I mean, 2 interceptions, he's been at it too. And Brandon Flowers, I mean, all of these members, these cornerbacks.
That is Kelvin Beachum, who's down on the field at midfield. Boy, he went down quickly and immediately turned to his front side.
You know, it didn't look like much. Ingram, I think, was giving him a speed rush outside.
Beachum is coming back from the torn ACL. Gus Bradley's trotting out to check on his 5th-year pro out of SMU. Medical personnel are coming over from the Chargers side of the field as well.
So here he is, 68 on Torek Williams, and he looks like did he step on Joeckel's foot?
Right there, he trips down.
You can kind of see the left foot plant right there,
Yes.
kind of funny.
See,
but
now
again,
that's the leg where he tore his ACL, and he has the big brace on that leg. So we'll take a timeout. 26 seconds to play third quarter. Kelvin Beachum, the injured player, will be back right after this. Kelvin Beachum is the injured Jacksonville Jaguar who's down on the field. And you can see some of his teammates, including Brandon Linder, number 65, who is coming over to just check with him. Gus Bradley is there as well. Now this year the National Football League would like the players, even though there is so much concern for their teammate, they'd like the players to step aside and let the medical personnel do their job and try to tend to the player. It looked like Beachum connected with his helmet to the leg of one of the San Diego Charger players.
you're going to see number 68 right there. He's engaged. And then he falls, and right here,
he takes the leg to the head from Brown. Well, they got out to the field very quickly to tend to him.
that's not a good sight.
No, it's not a good sight, and that's why you can see the concern by his teammates. Beachum, who missed a lot of last year because of the torn ACL. Started 16 games in 2014. We talked about, for both of these teams, the importance of keeping their offensive line together. Brandon Linder to the center for the Jags. Take a look at another angle right here. Right there, the leg hits the helmet. And again, we don't know.
It didn't look terrible.
Well, we will see what the reports are after they bring him into the locker room to check him out. National Football League has done so much to enhance the protocol to check on concussions and other issues over the last several years. And again, they had folks that were right on him almost immediately to check on him and make sure that he was stabilized on the playing field. This is the second injury that we've seen here this afternoon. The first one was Danny Woodhead, who was injured in the first half and was carted off. The look of concern from Gus Bradley.
You know, to me, that was always, Tom, the scariest part of playing football is anytime your neck is involved.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that to me was always the biggest risk.
Where you're defenseless to a certain extent also. Where you don't know, that the contact is coming from any part of the field. Well, certainly a hush that has come over the stadium here at Qualcomm. This sort of festive atmosphere here this afternoon because of the 35-0 lead for San Diego. Things have certainly quieted down as we trail off into the end of the third quarter. Well, Beachum has been immobilized, as you can see.
It's tough to watch.
So they are looking for them to pull the Chargers tarp on the right side of the end zone, and they will take Kelvin Beachum out. We will try to get an update as soon as we hear something. And his teammates obviously concerned about the outcome of this game, but more so for their teammate, as he is brought into the locker room area. Well, it's tough anytime that happens on any playing field. And we obviously hope that Kelvin Beachum is okay, and I know his teammates are feeling the same pain. So here we go, first down, 1st and 10 from inside the 30-yard line of Jacksonville. Or San Diego, excuse me. Jacksonville down 35-0. Bortles to throw, quick pass to the near side for TJ Yeldon. He cannot avoid Manti Te'o. Karan Reed was there as well. And that will be the end of the 3rd quarter. San Diego 35, Jacksonville nothing. We'll return to San Diego after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. We begin the 4th quarter here in San Diego with the Chargers on top 35-0. Along with Adam Archuleta and Scott Kaplan, I'm Tom McCarthy. A beautiful sunshiny afternoon here in Southern California. It's been total domination by the Chargers. And Jacksonville with the football, 2nd down just inside the 10-yard line. It's 2nd down at 11. The negative play to end the 3rd quarter. Bortles out of the shotgun. He's been under pressure a lot today, and his pass is deflected at the line of scrimmage, incomplete. It'll be 3rd down. Just moments ago, Kelvin Beachum was carted off the field after an apparent injury. Of course, the National Football League has done so much over the last handful of years to help with the diagnosis of concussions, particularly at games with the unaffiliated neurological consultants who are here at the stadiums. It'll be 3rd down and 11. Bortles 19 of 32 today, 195 yards. He has 3 receivers to the near side, and his pass is complete to Hearns, who's knocked out of bounds. So this is 4 down territory for the rest of the way for the Jaguars. So it'll be 4th down and 4.
Well, last week, Gus Bradley went for it 4 times on 4th down. Made the first 3, but again, the most critical one at the end of the game, 4th and 1, did not make it. Allen Robinson was the 4th down conversion machine, but so far today, he has been blanked. Shot for Allen Hearns in the slot.
Yeah, Robinson is in motion right now. Pressure to Bortles, and Bortles breaks away, and on the run, his pass is complete to Lee. And Lee out of bounds, so they convert the 1st down. It'll be 1st and goal from the 9. And you talk about that play at the end of the Green Bay game. Greg Olson sat down with us at our meeting yesterday and basically diagrammed the play and said, this is what we thought was going to happen, and this is what actually happens. It was actually kind of neat to get his perspective on that 4th down play.
You can't draw them all up and be on the winning side.
1st and goal from the 9. Best movement today for the Jaguars. Bortles loves the fade, and he throws to the middle to Hearns, and he has Hearns inside the 5 to the 4-yard line. All right, so this is part of what you talked about. You have to finish the job if you're the Jaguars. You have to finish the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the only thing you can do. And you know, I think on the other side of the ball as well, I think they want to see, you know, probably not going to see a 35-point comeback, but I think defensively they want to see them finish also with the killer instinct for the Chargers.
Hearns his 5th reception of the day. It'll be 2nd and goal from the 4. Lewis to the left, Thomas to the right, pass to the middle for Mercedes Lewis into the end zone, touchdown Jacksonville. First score of the year for Mercedes Lewis in the 28th of his career. And it's 35-6 San Diego.
You know, you really don't see this very often on the 5-yard line. You know, a tight end delay screen. This is the same, almost the same screen that kind of got them going last week against Green Bay, but good execution, and it's got to feel at least somewhat rewarding finding the end zone once today.
You saw that was their first touchdown since the 109 mark in quarter number 2 against the Packers. Myers' point after is good. It's 35-7 San Diego. 12:54 to play here in the fourth quarter. So finally, a little bit of daylight for the Jags.
Welcome back to San Diego. The Chargers lead 35-7. As for Jacksonville Jaguars tackle Kelvin Beachum, he was taken right over here on my shoulder. You can see this is the ramp that leads outside of Qualcomm Stadium. He was taken to an ambulance. He was transferred into the ambulance. The paramedics were working on him. They cut off his jersey and his shoulder pads. What concerned me was that we weren't seeing any movement, but ultimately and thankfully, his right hand and his left hand were moving. He was tingling his fingers. They're taking him to a hospital now here locally in San Diego, but I can report for all of his family and friends that are watching, his hands were definitely moving. Back to you guys.
All right, Scott, thank you. We appreciate that update, and we'll try to keep everybody up to date. Here's the injury. Beachum goes down to the ground. You see the hit, the inadvertent hit to his head just to the right of the screen. Jaguars have the onside kick set up. Down 35-7 with 12:54 to play. And how about Inman going high in the air to pull that football down and make sure that there was no conversion of the onside kick. Talk about a vertical leap.
Not to mention he's 6'3".
Well, that's true.
Now, he didn't high point it though. Right? He let it get into his body.
You think I gave him too much credit on the jump?
No, I'm searching.
Well, the ball will be spotted at the 43-yard line for San Diego. Some numbers today for the Chargers. Phillip Rivers, 15 of 20, 204 yards, 4 touchdowns. I mean, you'd think he'd have 400 yards at this point, but it's been efficient. Little passes underneath to get his receivers involved. Melvin Gordon, 20 carries, 92 yards, and he'll get it for the 21st time, and he's tripped up from behind. Let's go to JB for an update in New York.
Coach, just like you draw it up, right?
Watch this, Matt Ryan in the red zone, looking to go ahead. Ball's tipped in the air, but yes, Justin Hardy takes it out of the air, 8-yard touchdown, puts the Atlanta Falcons up 28-21. That touchdown was set up by a 46-yarder from Julio Jones. Right now, Atlanta over Oakland, 28-21.
Tom, coach is implying that's in the playbook.
Thank you, JB. We appreciate that. I'm not sure if Adam would find that really that exciting a play either. Did you think that one was an exciting play?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It'll be second down and 14. Rivers drops back to pass. Looks to the middle. Incomplete. Flags are in, though, at the 33-yard line. It was intended for Inman.
And they're going to catch Devon House, I think. Wrapped him with the left arm and turned his body.
Number 37 defense, 5-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
Well, penalties have been a problem for Gus Bradley's team here this afternoon. It's been part of the issue of this bigger problem of not being able to execute here this afternoon.
They called Jonathan Cyprien number 37. It was House. It was House who was on the primary coverage, so we didn't get a chance to see. Well, Cyprien was locked up with the tight end Hunter Henry.
You and I have seen a lot of Jaguars games. We have not seen 12 penalties. 12 penalties for 77 yards for the Jags. Here's Gordon again, and Gordon, a little misdirection, has some room on the near side, and he's out of bounds, shoved out of bounds by Telvin Smith. Well, he was getting a little high-stepping going at the end of this run.
The little, let's go right, and then we're going to cut it back, and I'm going to freeze you, and then I'm going to go. Jalen Ramsey is the guy who has contained right there, has to make that one-on-one tackle, and Melvin Gordon just froze him as he hit the corner.
Well, he has 99 yards on the ground here this afternoon, so he needs 1 for 100. He won't get it here because Farrell's in the game.
That'd be his first 100-yard game, wouldn't it?
Last year, 641 yards total. It would be his first 100-yard game. Here's Farrell. Farrell gets down to the 30-yard line. Fowler with the tackle. What have you seen from Fowler and Ngakoue for Jacksonville today? I mean, these guys are both youngsters. What have you seen from them today?
Well, they've really been the only two to affect the quarterback in any way. You know, that was a big a big strip sack by Ngakoue down, tight backed up in their own red zone. And you've seen some flashes from Fowler. I just don't think they've been in a situation where they've been able to affect the quarterback much today because, Phillip Rivers has kept this defense off balance. And they've had to try and bone up against the run. And the coverage element has really had to be disappointing.
Here's Gordon out of the backfield, takes the pass play, and he's down to the 20-yard line. He'll get a first down. Miles Jack in the game. The outstanding player out of UCLA.
Number 44 on the right side of your screen. Just a little simple check down. One-on-one with Gordon. That's a guy that hopefully sooner than later, they could have used his athletic ability today in coverage. You can see there are some big mismatches in the passing game with the linebackers and the wide receivers, and got to find a way to get number 44 on the field.
Yeah, they said that it's more about the playbook than anything else, just understanding the playbook. And there's Melvin Gordon, who's over 100 yards, as Miles Jack is continuing to get a little time here.
It's got to be a satisfying start to this season for Melvin Gordon. All the criticism from last year. Remember, he was a rookie, but it's about the offensive line as well. It's funny. We always say when a running back has a great year, well, he's got a great line, and they did a great job blocking. But then when the offensive line has problems, you say, oh, he can't run. So he can't win. But it's got to be satisfying because he's looked really sharp. And he's looked powerful here in the first two games.
Shifty. He's been able to read holes as well as Farrell gets down to the 12-yard line. We saw the graphic. He's the first running back for the Chargers to have over 100 yards in a game since Ryan Matthews. So they have been pleading for something like that here in San Diego.
Yeah, great bounce. They were terrible running the ball last year. And so far, Jacksonville, they didn't show it this week. But they've been now for the last 3 or 4 years a great run defense. Nobody runs against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And from the opening whistle, they made them look silly going down the field today. You got to credit San Diego and their offensive line and Ken Wisenhunt to putting together a great plan to attack this defense.
Middle of the field pass is complete to Williams, who's down to the 7. Another first down. On this hot Southern California afternoon. It's white hot Sunday here at Qualcomm, and Jared Odrick looks like he's cooled off a little bit after his unsportsmanlike conduct penalty earlier. He is back on the field for the Jags. Melvin Gordon checks back in. In motion is Hunter Henry. And the handoff goes to Gordon. Gordon dancing toward the outside, and he is pushed back. He may get a yard. Fowler's in on the tackle for the Jags.
They haven't used the fullback that much. We hear all this about, oh, he's got a fullback now, and everything's going to be better, and he's running better because he has a fullback. But they've really used their tight ends today a lot. You see Hunter Henry kind of using that H-back and as a lead blocker. So, last week, you saw a lot of Derek Watt. This week, not so much. More of the tight ends getting involved.
Yeah, that's part of the evolution, too, for Derek Watt. He's just a rookie. All 3 of his brothers played at Wisconsin, TJ, himself, and, of course, JJ. Phillip Rivers on second down, breaks away, and throws on the run for Gates, and Gates cannot make the one-handed grab. Well, that would have been impressive.
He may not be the most athletic, fast quarterback, but he sure has a great feel for the rush, and he sure knows how to just ever so slightly get out of harm's way and get the ball downfield.
How about that story he told us the other day when we were meeting, as you see him trying to feather this one to Gates, where
I don't know if I believe it.
Where he was recruited by Auburn, and Auburn wanted to make him a tight end. He said, a tight end? I want to be a quarterback, so he goes to NC State.
That would have been a shame.
He's dancing to the pocket, throws to the end zone, incomplete. Nearly picked off. Deshaun Gibson.
How's this for being aggressive, Tom? Up 28 points. You're down inside the 10-yard line, and you throw the ball, of course.
Well, they'll have to settle for a field goal attempt here, as Josh Lambeau will attempt a 25-yarder. His former college teammate Drew Kaiser, his former holder at Texas A&M, is the holder here at San Diego. Good snap, good hold, and just like everything else today, it is good. 38-7, San Diego on top. 7 minutes to play, fourth quarter. Well, it's a gorgeous day, as it always is here in Southern California, to the beaches of San Diego, as the Chargers will kick it off, up 38-7. With 7 minutes left to play in the fourth quarter. The Jaguars will get a 1st and 10 from the 25. All right, so Jacksonville will get it one more time when we come back. You don't think that guy's happy? He wore that mask on an 85-degree day. He loves the offense this afternoon. Blake Bortles goes back to work with 7 minutes to play here in the fourth quarter. His team is down 38-7. He converted his last time with the football. He's going to try to convert again here on a day that has belonged to the San Diego Chargers and their quarterback Phillip Rivers, their second-year running back Melvin Gordon, and their free agent wide receiver Travis Benjamin. As Robinson makes the reception on the outside. Bortles 22 of 36 for 225 yards. Robinson up the middle, moving the pile. That'll take us down toward the 6-minute mark. Bortles, if the Jaguars are able to score here, he's probably going to get close to the 300 mark for the afternoon. It's stunning that he's had 8 300-yard passing games in his career, and the Jaguars are 0-8 in those 300-yard passing games.
This one just doesn't feel like it.
No. There's Robinson, who was not touched, so he gets up and is eventually taken down inside the 25-yard line. So they get one of those explosive plays for Allen Robinson. It's a gain of 35 yards.
Pretty good catch right there by Robinson. They hit the side pocket right in between the corner and the safety in a 2-deep coverage. And that's about the only action that Robinson has seen all day long.
To throw again, and his pass is nearly intercepted, broken up at the last moment by Brandon Flowers. Now that was trying to get a football into a very narrow passage if you're Blake Bortles.
They're just all over it. Man coverage today has been, again, I would put it up there as a masterpiece performance by the corners and really this secondary.
Quarterback comparisons. If you're Ron Millis, the secondary coach, you're feeling pretty good about what's happened here this afternoon for the Chargers. Robinson knocked out of bounds. Let's go to New York and an update with JB.
Some tenacious birds in Oakland.
Yeah, after a 4th down failed conversion by Oakland, Tevon Coleman, 13 yards, caps off a 50-yard drive. They're now up 35-21 with 4:35 to go in the game.
Back to Tom McCarthy.
All right, JB. Boy, a blink of an eye. That was a tie ball game, and the Falcons have stretched it to a 2-score lead.
Well, that's a long trip for Atlanta.
On 3rd down, Bortles lofts it to the far side, and it is caught at the 5-yard line. So it'll be 1st and goal from the 5, and it looks like another injured player. In fact, 2 injured players on the field. It's a dive for the Chargers, who has his face down.
Yeah, this was a nasty helmet-to-helmet hit from a dive.
So Denard Robinson makes a great catch, and then there's contact as he goes to the grounds. We'll be back right after this. That may not be a completion. Well, back here at Qualcomm Stadium, we have another injured player up on his feet. Mike McCoy is talking to Jaleel Adai. He was just involved in what looked to be a shoulder-to-shoulder jam with Denard Robinson. They brought the cart out, but he is walking off without any help. Jaleel Adai, part of that secondary that's played so well today for San Diego. Watch this play by Robinson. He and Adai connects.
It certainly goes in with the shoulder.
And Robinson was slow to get up too, but he was able to get up. Now this play, you see the ball knocked down by Brown, hits the ground right there. See, we blow it up. It already had bounced on the ground at that point. They've ruled it an incomplete pass. And everybody was... That was a great shot, by the way.
That is a great call for the side check right there to make that. Got to give them some love, right?
You have to. Fourth down at 13. Fourth down at 3, I should say. Bortles to the end zone, incomplete. Now the Chargers will take over on downs. All right, so 4th and 3. Would you go for the end zone there, or would you go for the first down?
Yeah, you know, I mean, honestly, Tom, it's, you know.
I guess it doesn't matter at this point.
Does it? I mean, you just want to get points. You just want to execute. You just got to tip your hat one more time to the Chargers secondary. It's just, they've been outstanding, and really their front seven. You know, TJ Yeldon has been able to get a few runs here and there, but for the most part, I thought they've shut down the run. There certainly hasn't been a big threat of run. Probably more to do with the score than anything, but I think they've really harassed Blake Bortles into a lot of pressure and a lot of bad decisions here today.
Well, here is 33-year-old Kellen Clemens, who will take over for Phillip Rivers. Rivers is done after 17 of 24, 220 yards. His 11th year in the National Football League, and he hands it off to Farrow. And Farrow runs up to the 20, a gain of 3. Thursday, your weekend starts here when the Houston Texans tangle with the New England Patriots. Thursday Night Football on CBS and NFL Network. There's Garoppolo, who was hurt earlier today.
Oh, I hope he plays. Come on, man.
Pass the torch at him.
Oh. Come on. We don't want a third-string quarterback on Thursday Night Football.
There it is. This is the injury for Garoppolo earlier today against the Dolphins. He went down hard on his throwing shoulder. They're being tended to right there. Bill Belichick standing up, headset off. And again, they have 2 more games without Tom Brady. Jacoby Brissett out of North Carolina State came on and helped lead them to the victory. He was not as dominating as his fellow North Carolina State quarterback, Phillip Rivers, but he did get the job done.
How about that? No Brady, no Gronk, 2-0. That easy.
Off goes to Farrow, who goes up the middle to the 25, a gain of 4. Phillip Rivers, we mentioned 4 touchdowns this afternoon. He has 8 straight 25 touchdown seasons. He's on his way to another one this year. Came in 14th overall in passing in NFL history, and just a remarkable career.
It's truly amazing. He was brilliant today. You know, they didn't come out and try and do a lot early, but what they did do, he was just on point. He exploited every flaw, every matchup, every hole that Jacksonville gave him, and that's why he's able to overcome the injuries to his skill position players.
Woodhead was injured in the first half today. Keenan Allen injured last week. Whistles blow as the play is blown dead.
Delay of game, offense, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Next Sunday, the NFL and CBS returns with doubleheader excitement. Many of you will see the Broncos battle the Bengals while the Raiders take on the Titans. Then the Steelers tackle the Eagles, or the Jets challenge the Chiefs. It all starts with JB, Boomer, Tony, Coach, and Bart on the NFL Today. Check your local listings. We will be in Jacksonville for the Ravens and the Jags. The Ravens with a comfort behind victory today over Cleveland. Evans looking to throw, looking long to the far side of the field for Williams, and his pass is short. It'll be 4th down, and the Chargers will be forced to punt. Kaiser's only punted 3 times today, so he'll punt for the 4th time. Hey, just to sort of wrap it up about Rivers, so he has 4 touchdowns today. So he is 4 away. And I always think about this when you think about great players in any sport. He's 4 away from Johnny Unitas. I mean, think about that.
That's pretty cool.
Short punt. It goes out of bounds. Tonight on CBS, there's a flag down, excuse me. 3:34 to play.
10-yard penalty, 1st down.
Tonight on CBS begins with 60 minutes and a ride aboard one of America's most powerful nuclear-armed submarines, followed by a CBS primetime exclusive, The Case of John Benet Ramsey, plus NCIS Los Angeles. Tonight, only CBS. All right, so with the penalty, the ball went out of bounds at the 50. They moved the football to the 40-yard line for Jacksonville. We mentioned the Jaguars will try to regroup. They take on the Ravens next week. It doesn't get any easier. Mike McCoy's team, meanwhile, they know what the scoreboard says. Not that they're totally worried about it, but they know that the Chiefs, who beat them last week, have already lost today. So at least they're even with the Chiefs, potentially even with the Raiders in the division. On first down, Bortles still in there to throw. And his pass is complete. That's Ben, who gains 8.
I think just as important as, you know, where they stand in the division race is how they came out and started this game. You know, they talked about it, disappointed, but felt very confident that they were going to be able to overcome it, and really wanted to use the game last week as a springboard of now we know what we have to do to close out games and to win and to have that killer instinct. So you got to be extremely pleased. This is about a complete game as you could ask for the San Diego Chargers.
Yeah, what did they say this week? They said, let's not let that one loss affect the rest of our season, but don't allow that one loss to then lead to another loss. Clean the slate, start over again. And that's what they've done today.
And when you look at it outside of half a quarter, they've looked dominant against two football teams. So I think, you know, this is a team that you might have to watch out for.
3rd down and 5. And Bortles breaks away from the defender and slides forward for a first down. We are approaching the 2-minute warning. Nick DeZubnar was there to try to make the tackle behind the line of scrimmage. And Bortles will be able to take this to the 2-minute warning if he chooses to. First down. Middle of the field, incomplete, intended for Julius Thomas. So we've reached the 2-minute warning here in San Diego. It's all Chargers. We'll be back right after this. Oh, Blake Bortles still in there. Ball is spotted at the 48-yard line with 1:58 to play here in the 4th quarter. Bortles middle of the field, pass is complete to Lee, and Lee has a first down to the 31. All right, so if you are Jacksonville, you're trying to score here, but you also have to think ahead that you have to regroup. There's obviously some things you have to work on going into next week's game against Baltimore if you want to be one of the 12% since 1990 to make the postseason after starting 0-2.
Priority number one, and they came into this game with a priority. They got to fix their running game. I mean, when Bortles is your leading rusher at 34 yards today, you've got problems. Now, a lot of that was game situation, you know, being in long down and distances and then, you know, being way behind in the score. But still, that you have to be concerned, especially now. You have to consider the status of Kelvin Beachum at left tackle. I mean, that could be a major blow to this offensive line.
Yeah, they hope to get Chris Ivory back next week. Ivory's missed the first 2 games with an unspecified medical issue as Lee goes down to the 15-yard line and gets a first down. And a timeout is called with 1:18 to play. After this ball game, we'll have bonus coverage. Atlanta and Oakland. It's down to the wire. The Falcons lead the Raiders 35-28. We'll get you to that game as soon as this one comes to a close.
Oakland is like the team that never dies, man. That is a scrappy football team.
Well, you got to love Derek Carr. And you got to love the additions that they've made from an offensive standpoint over the last 3 or 4 years beyond Carr. Jacksonville has 2 timeouts left. It'll be 1st and 10 from the 15. Travis Benjamin had a fantastic day today for the Chargers. We talk about guys stepping up for the injured Keenan Allen and today's injury, Danny Woodhead. Benjamin certainly did that. Here's Bortles, has some time, corner of the end zone, incomplete, overthrows Hearns.
Yeah, Tom, I would agree. You know, they brought him here to bring that, to be that speed element to the offense. You know, have Keenan Allen as your main guy, but certainly give you some explosive ability, and they try to figure out kind of the best way to use them. But, you know, when you lose your best receiver, you got to say Travis Benjamin stepped up. You know, the underneath stuff, and then the deep stuff, and then catching the fade ball. I mean, if they get that kind of production, then I think you got to say they hit it when they decide to bring him on the team.
Dump pass inside the 10-yard line. It'll be touchdown Jacksonville. Corey Grants. A 15-yard pass play. That guy's not giving up. 38-13 San Diego with 1:04 to play here in the fourth quarter. Well, Bortles now with 329 yards after that 15-yard pass play. Tell you, we met with Blake yesterday. One thing that is true, and we've seen him for the last couple of years. We were there for his first game, and of course his first start was here in San Diego. He continues to exude confidence more and more with each passing week that we've talked to him. Well, we mentioned Travis Benjamin, how good he's been. Well, here you go. Take a look.
Yeah, big plays all day. They started out with an out route early in the game to get him going. Found a crazy mismatch on a middle linebacker, Paul Posluszny. And then when he sees press coverage, let me go run under it, and he comes down with a beautiful catch. I think it's been a pretty special day for number 12, and a lot of questions about how this wide receiver core would step up with no Keenan Allen. I think that's what they're expecting, to step up and to respond, and I think Philip talked about it. Trust-building plays. That's what I need with these receivers. I think today he had some of those with Benjamin.
And I think the other part of it is he said, you know, they've done it in practice. They just have to do it in games, and they have to realize they can do it in games. And I think that's what we've seen. For Benjamin, who signed with the Chargers after his time in Cleveland. Myers will set up for an onside kick. All right, it's got to go 10 yards for the Jaguars to field it. A high kick, the flag is down, and Inman just knocks it out of bounds. So the flag sits at the 36-yard line.
We've got an offsides.
I think we may have. So now there's another flag that's thrown at the 48. That's where, after Inman batted the ball out of bounds. I'm not sure why he did that. He probably should have just fallen on it and not batted it out of bounds. So the officials will talk about it at about the 48-yard line. There's no doubt that at the 36, well, I shouldn't say no doubt, but I'm assuming that that's going to be offsides. And now the officials are deciding whether he can or cannot bat the ball out of bounds.
Offside, kicking team number 47. That 5-yard penalty will be added to the end of the play. First down.
Yeah, I think they're picking up the other flag. I think that here's the offsides.
Right here.
Yep.
Is that Allen Robinson?
That is Allen. I think that's Allen Robinson. Nope.
Nope.
That is Jared Wilson, 47. So they'll spot the ball at the 43. The official threw the flag down for the batted ball because they had to confer to see if he had batted it forward. He did not, in their estimation. He batted it out of bounds sideways, as the San Diego Chargers will just take a knee, and the Jaguars will not stop the clock with 50 seconds left to play. Philip Rivers and the Chargers have answered all the questions from last week's loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. They'll move on. They'll take on Indianapolis. They're one of those teams that'll be battling the percentages, down 0-2. New Orleans is 0-2 after the loss to the Giants today. And then those two games, Oakland and Denver, those will wind up being big games because of that opening loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. But today was as balanced an offensive attack, and I think defensive attack, that you will see from the San Diego Chargers.
They did. Defensively, they shut down what I would consider a red-hot passing game when you consider Robinson and Hearns and Thomas You know, there was zero room in that part. And then, again, I thought, especially considering the adversity and the missing pieces, losing Danny Woodhead, losing Keenan Allen, number 17 did not miss one beat the entire afternoon.
The final scores, the Chargers 38, the Jaguars 14. Tonight on CBS begins with 60 Minutes, followed by CBS Primetime exclusive, The Case of John Benet Ramsey and NCIS Los Angeles. So now for Adam Archuleta and Scott Kaplan. This is Tom McCarthy saying so long from San Diego. Total domination from the San Diego Chargers. You've been watching the NFL on CBS.